Testing 1, 2. Okay, let's just make sure we are. All right. So we had to do that. I had to start the stream over again because I use natural lighting when I'm recording this, and as a result, there was like a opening in my blind, and literally had a line going right through my face, and I couldn't concentrate looking at the screen and seeing that line there because it just was throwing me off. And I want to give my best here, and I want to fully be engaged without being distracted by something small like that. So here we go again. Hi, guys. My name is Donnie Rouse, and you are listening to the podcast One Life Passion. Nothing great has been accomplished without passion. So, what are you passionate about? What lights you up? What brings a spring in your step during your day? The reason I ask this is because it's so important to infuse these things into your day, because if you don't infuse those things into your day, comfort and routine quickly settle in. And as a result, years, what feels like minutes, years later, all of a sudden now you're living in a life that you don't even recognize. You don't even recognize yourself. So I firmly believe that a life well lived is a life full of joy, passion, and excitement. It's one of the things that my mantras that I wake up to every morning. I say, I, Donnie, see, hear, feel, and know that the purpose of my life is to live with joy, passion, and excitement. But before we can live that joy, passion, and exciting life, we have to know what exactly is it that makes us exciting. And each of us are going to be different in our own way. Each of us has our own set of interests that pique our excitement, that pique our passion, that make us tune in and fully engage with life. So by the end of this podcast, my intention here is for you to start to make room in your day for those moments. Make room in your day for the things that light you up inside. Because that is what makes life worth living. So before we go any further, let's ask a question. How often do you spend time feeding those passions, fueling those passions? Secondly, what are your passions? Can you list more than a dozen on a page, or maybe even a half dozen? What do you get interested in? What do you get excited? What brings a smile to your face? What would you do for free without ever getting paid for it, just because you love it so much? I'm going to tell you some stories here about passion, and the intention behind these stories is for you to apply them to your own life to see where you need a little bit of alignment, but also how you can start to infuse passion into your day, because it doesn't have to be, an hour of crocheting or whatever it is that you'd like to do. It could be maybe 5 minutes, because 5 minutes gives you that feeling, and now all of a sudden that thread is now brought into the rest of your day. Sometimes not getting what you think you want is the blessing itself, because it leads you to more passion. I remember when I was interviewing for jobs after college, I thought I wanted to do finance. I majored in finance in school, and it was primarily because I didn't know what else to go into. I thought finance is the language of business. That's what I'm going to do. At the time, I've said the story many times over. At the time, I wanted to be a stockbroker. When I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do, I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll go into corporate finance. I interviewed for a bunch of jobs and got tons of offers. There were two jobs that I really, really wanted that I did not get. One was, I think it was the FMP program at GE, and the other one was a similar program at United Technologies, working with at Pratt and Whitney. I thought it was cool because I was like, oh, I'll go down to the airplane hangars and talk to the guys there. They were probably like, who is this kid? I actually said that on my interview. I didn't get the job, and at the time, I was very disappointed. But had I gotten that, it would have consumed, like the program was 2 years. And this was probably one of the most influential times of my life, because that is when I fully committed, I fully engaged, and gave myself permission to go after coffee. And so sometimes you don't get the thing you think you want, but you get what you need. And what I needed was to not go down that route, right? Because at the time too, I was focused on money. When I wanted to do the stockbroking, I was like, oh, I want to do this because I want to become a millionaire. I think Wall Street or Boiler Room, one of those movies had come out, and I was like, oh wow, that's what I want to do, because I thought it was all ego. There was a study done, I don't know, I'm trying to remember if it was in 1960, where they surveyed 1,500 business students. I think half of them was split between people who were going after for the money and the other people who were going after a career that they were passionate about. Years later, they followed up with them. There were 255 millionaires. Of the 255 millionaires, only one was the person that went after for the money. The other 254 were people who chose to pursue their passion. So what do I tell you? What does that mean? It means that when you put your energy towards the things that you're passionate about, you put more of yourself, you make more of yourself readily available, and you're willing to commit more. You're not willing to give up when something doesn't go your way. There's another story that I'd heard, Art Tatum. He was a African American, born partially blind, and ended up going blind early in his life. But he had a passion for piano. So he would go down, he would have someone bring him down to the honky-tonk bars. I think it was in Toledo. And when he was there, he would ask if he could sit on the piano. It was the piano that had the sheet music that would, it would kind of feed through the machine, and it would play, and it would kind of pump the keys. So what he would do is he would put his fingers on top of the keys, and he would memorize the keystrokes and learn how to play. After doing that over and over and over, it was extremely difficult, but after doing it for, I don't know, let's say many years, he finally was able to play the entire song. When people saw him play, they were amazed at how he was able to hit those keys. Here is something that I didn't even know, that whenever they recorded those sheet music, when that music that fed into the machine that actually had the song play, those were prepared by two people, meaning two people, four hands on the keys. So Art was the first person in history to be able to play four hands with only his two. And the reason he was able to do that is because he didn't know what was possible and what was impossible. No one ever said, he didn't know that it was four hands playing the song that he was playing. So as a result, he didn't see this is something that's impossible. To him, it was, one person playing, it was possible. He just had to commit more time and energy and passion into learning how to do it. And he did. Why do I tell you that? Because what in your life have you given up on, have you abandoned, just because you thought it was impossible and it was something that you were passionate about? See, something is always impossible until someone else does it, and then it becomes possible for everybody. There have been records where someone does the fastest mile, right? It's, they say, 6 minutes. No one could run faster than 6 minutes. All of a sudden, someone does it in 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And then that is the new norm. And people are like, oh, well, it's impossible. No one could run faster than 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And then someone beats that score. So it's important not to let what we think not to set limits on yourself. I'll give you one more story about the power of passion, how literally just taking moments in your day and weaving that passion could transform your day, right? Because again, going back to the first question I asked you, how often do you spend time focusing on and giving attention to your passions? How long? Doing so can actually invigorate and bring life energy to the things you do throughout your day, right? You may let's go to crocheting. I mean, you could make a living crocheting. I'm just lacking other examples. But you're like, you know what? I have to do this job in accounting because how am I going to pay the bills with crocheting? Or how am I going to pay the bills watercoloring flowers? You don't need to, right? It doesn't have to be the thing that supports you, but it could be the thing that allows you to infuse life energy into everything else that you do. When I brew cold rum espresso, so when I started doing cold rum espresso, I was very passionate about it because it was new. All these people would come to my booth. I had lines of people, and it was like, man, this is awesome. This is great. People really love what I'm doing. I was seeing the result. But like all things, when you're doing it for a while, there becomes like a tipping point where it starts to become tedious. And when I was doing coaching, we would say, well, people would ask, well, how do you know when you have to charge more? And the answer that we would get from our instructor was like, when it becomes tedious, when it becomes like you feel like, I have to do this. That's when you know that you've hit a new threshold, and you get to raise your prices because of the enjoyment factor. And then all of a sudden, like now you're getting excited because you're growing again. You're seeing more of your own worth because people are demanding your services. So I'm doing cold rum, and I'm completely honest with you. A lot of the brewing process has gotten mundane, right? I mean, I could play music, but sometimes the music doesn't even help me, right? I'm in there, I'm brewing, and it's kind of like the same thing over and over. And there's been times where I'm like, oh my God, I got to brew this again. If I'm completely honest with you, that is the feeling that was going on in my head. I would say a lot of the time. Sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes I am there and I'm in the zone, and I am just like flying through. I have amazing brew days. I actually had one of those the other day. I was thinking about the future. I was thinking about this coming year. I was imagining creating a course to allow people to set New Year's resolutions, but not in the sense that, oh, let's lose 5 pounds, let's do it, but like really focus on the experiences they want to experience in life that year in all the categories of their life. For their, what they would get them excited about their body, about their social life, about their financial career, everything. And I was getting excited about this. I imagined myself traveling and being able to do this from anywhere in the world. I was, you know what? I'm going to run this course. I'm going to run it from Portugal. I was thinking Lisbon. My mind literally started coming up with all these ideas as I'm brewing. I'm like thinking about what I can do and trying to like yelling at Siri to transcribe a note. And as a result, I literally blew through the day, and I was like, that was easy. And there had been other times too where the same thing happened. And ironically, it had to do with the same thing. There was usually involved some kind of travel thought was in there. And as a result, I'd go through the day, I would feel less achy as well, and I would have more energy to continue on with the rest of my life. Why is that? Because I sowed the thread of passion. I thought about the things that make me passionate about, which is ironically, or not ironically, travel. I love traveling. I love experiencing new things. I love coffee too. I love experiencing different cultures of coffee, different beverages and the rituals around them. When I think about those things, I think about the experiences I want to have while I'm abroad. That lights me up. And then when I do that and then go into things that I would find mundane or tedious at times, it literally transforms it. So I'm telling you this because it is it's like a pinch of salt. It's a magic ingredient that could transform the flavor of your day. And if you do that enough, it literally can transform your life, right? Because all of a sudden, now because you're in a better mood, you do a better job at work, and maybe something else comes in your life, right? You meet that special someone just because you're in a better mood. And that is what passion can do for you. So let's go to the beginning. What are you passionate about? What brings a smile to your face when you think about it, when you do it? What do you enjoy to do, even if you're not really good at it, but you're fascinated by it? And what do other people tell you you're extremely good at that maybe you downplayed in the past? You're like, yeah, thank you, but I don't really think I'm that good. What do they say? What are your strengths? Like, what are you just really, really proficient at? I want you to make a list of answer the questions I just asked you, and make a list and put that down. And find a way to literally take a couple of these things and just weave them into your day. especially at the beginning of your day. And you will be surprised. And I want you to literally, take a journal too. You should be taking a little journal. Anytime you feel a little bit of excitement, a little passion, write down what it is that's giving you this emotion. Here's the thing, because if you don't start to write those down, if you don't take notice, you start to just repeat the old things, the things that you do over and over, the old things, which is nothing wrong with it. But, like variety is the spice of life. So the more things you can be passionate about, the more passion you could bring into life. Make note and weave these things into your day. Make time for them. You deserve to have these into your day because your life is worth it. You are worth it. Do that and just take note of how it transforms. So this way you can do more of it. That is all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this podcast on passion. If you did, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. You can comment or ask a question by visiting my website at www.donnyrouse.com. Again, DONNYRAUS.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. God bless, and remember, you get one life. Live it. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon.